The stars above the Orion sector burned cold and distant, like silent witnesses to the chaos below. The alien colony ship Varelian Hope shuddered under heavy fire. Its shields flared red and yellow as energy bolts tore through the void around it. On board, the crew, tall-scaled beings with nervous, twitching mandibles, scurried through the corridors, attempting to stabilize the failing systems. Commander Larek, a veteran of countless expeditions, barked orders over the comms, his voice tight with fear. "Shields at 30%. Divert power to forward emitters. We cannot hold them much longer." The attackers were swift, feral, and relentless. They came in swarms, small, fast craft, each bristling with weapons far more advanced than anything the Varelian Hope had encountered before. Every attempt at countermeasures seemed to fail. Every evasive maneuver was anticipated. "This isn't just a raid," muttered Trelna, the ship's engineer. Her 3 eyes widened in alarm as another energy bolt ripped through a bulkhead. "They're hunting us." "They know exactly where we are." Commander Larek clenched his claws around the rail. "We need help. Something beyond our reach. Something human." The word human caused a ripple of unease among the crew. Humans were legendary across the outer systems, almost mythic in nature. The Deathworlders, as they were called, thrived on planets where no other life could survive. They had survived superstorms, radiation storms, poisonous atmospheres, and predators that could crush entire colonies. But most of all, they were unpredictable. No alien fleet, no matter how advanced, could predict human behavior. And now, in a moment of desperation, the crew of the Varelian Hope sent their SOS. The signal blinked across the darkness. A desperate pulse aimed at the void where humans were rumored to patrol. "If there is anyone listening, we call on the Deathworlders." The message faded into the emptiness of space. For a moment, the crew held their breath. They didn't expect a response. No one had ever seen humans outside their own systems. They were stories, myths, warnings. "Larek," Trelna whispered. We might be too late." A sudden shudder ran through the ship, throwing them to the floor. The main viewport lit up with an unnatural glow. Outside, space itself seemed to warp and twist as though reality had folded in upon itself. The Marauder ships paused in confusion, their attacks faltering. "What is happening?" One of the younger crew members squeaked. Then they appeared. From the darkness, massive shapes emerged, immense ships that dwarfed the Varelian Hope. Their hulls gleamed with polished metal, black and silver with glowing lines of energy pulsing along their frames. They moved with grace, yet their presence radiated raw power. The alien crew could only stare in awe and disbelief. They came," Larek whispered. "Humans." A calm, resonant voice echoed over the comm system. Not aggressive, not demanding, just certain. "Hold your position. We will handle the threat." The Marauder ships, confident in their advantage moments ago, surged forward in a final attack. Energy beams tore toward the humans, but in an instant, the Dreadnoughts moved with lightning speed. Pulses of energy flared, and one by one the attackers were shredded, their craft disintegrating into harmless debris. The aliens could hardly comprehend what they were seeing. The humans did not just attack, they anticipated, they calculated, and yet their actions seemed instinctive, natural, and terrifyingly efficient. Larek felt a mixture of fear and relief. They're saving us." One of the human dreadnoughts detached from the main fleet, gliding silently toward the nearest Marauder ship. A small boarding craft shot out like a spear from its belly. Moments later, the Marauder vessel was overrun. The human crew emerged and subdued the enemies with remarkable precision, all without unnecessary destruction. Trelna's eyes were wide. They don't just fight. They think. They improvise. The Marauders were in retreat. Confused, disoriented, and terrified, they began to scatter into the void. The humans did not pursue recklessly. They let the enemies flee, knowing they could eliminate them any time, but choosing to end the threat with control. "Commander," said Larek, his voice trembling, we owe them our lives. All of us." From the bridge, a human ship's viewport opened like an eye. A human captain's face appeared, calm and unyielding. "We're here," he said simply. "You're safe now. Follow our instructions carefully and no one will be harmed." The crew of the Varelian Hope exchanged uncertain glances. The stories were true. Humans were unlike anything they had ever imagined. They did not rely on superior numbers, overwhelming firepower, or sheer aggression. They relied on ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Trelna approached the captain's holographic image. How can you survive in such hostile space? Your ships, your weapons, everything about you defies logic. The captain's lips curved into a faint smile. Logic isn't always enough. Sometimes survival requires creativity, courage, willpower, things we call instinct, experience, and adaptability. Another pulse of energy shot past the viewport, and one of the smaller marauder ships tried to sneak in for an attack. In an instant, a human drone intercepted it, disabling the craft with precise strikes before it could reach the colony ship. "See?" the captain said. "We adapt to threats you cannot even anticipate. That is why we survive where others fail. That is why you sent for us and why we came." Larek bowed his head. We doubted humans. We feared them, but now we understand. You are incredible." The humans did not respond with pride or arrogance. Their calm, quiet presence filled the bridge, commanding respect without demanding it. They were warriors, yes, but also teachers, observers, and guardians. As the marauders fled, the Varelian hope stabilized. Shields hummed back to life. Engines roared as they regained power. The aliens dared to hope for the first time in hours. "Prepare for boarding," Larek said cautiously. "They may need to inspect our ship. Or teach us how to survive the next encounter." The human captain's voice returned, steady and confident. "We do not seek to control you. We seek only to ensure survival. Follow instructions, learn quickly, and you may live longer than your enemies expect." Trelna whispered to Larek, awe in her voice. I want to be like them. To think like them. To survive like them." Larek nodded slowly. "We have witnessed something legendary today. Not just strength, but wisdom. Humans are not only fighters, they are Deathworlders, survivors, teachers, and guides. And we are lucky to call them allies, even if only for this day." The Dreadnoughts remained in formation, a silent promise of protection. Even as the Varelian hope prepared for the next phase of its journey, the aliens knew one truth had been rewritten. Humans were no ordinary species. They were something else entirely, forces of nature, embodiments of survival and champions of the weak. In that moment, as the stars burned around them and the void seemed both infinite and safe, the alien crew understood something fundamental. The universe was vast, dangerous, and often cruel. But humans were the unpredictable spark that could change everything. And as the Varelian hope sailed under the watchful presence of the human dreadnoughts, the aliens finally felt hope, courage, and wonder, emotions they had thought lost forever in the darkness of space. Somewhere in the void, beyond comprehension, the humans waited calm and unstoppable, ready for whatever challenge the universe might throw next. And in that waiting, the aliens learned the first lesson of survival from the Deathworlders. Never underestimate a human. The void of space stretched endlessly before the Varelian hope, vast and silent except for the faint hum of its reactivated engines. Outside, the stars shone coldly, but the presence of the human dreadnoughts filled the alien crew with a sense of awe they had never experienced. These massive ships did not just occupy space, they dominated it, moving as if the void itself obeyed their will. Commander Larek stood at the bridge viewport, claws resting lightly on the rail, eyes fixed on the nearest human dreadnought. "They are immense," he murmured. "And yet, graceful." Trelna nodded beside him, her three eyes reflecting the pulsing lines of energy across the hulls. "It's as if their power is alive. Not just weapons, but something more. I've never seen technology like this." From the darkness, the human dreadnoughts began to reposition, forming a defensive perimeter around the Varelian hope. The aliens watched, wide-eyed, as one massive vessel glided forward, its hull covered, in a network of glowing lines that shifted and rearranged like living circuits. They move with purpose," said Larek. "Not randomly. Every action is calculated." A sudden signal interrupted his thoughts. The human fleet communicated not with alien language, but with a resonance that seemed to penetrate the very minds of the crew. "Maintain position. Threats will be neutralized. Prepare for boarding procedures if necessary." The alien crew exchanged glances. Boarding procedures? Even the mention of such an act would have terrified them under normal circumstances. But the humans radiated calm authority. making the idea seem safe rather than threatening. Then the Marauders returned. A fleet of small, jagged ships had regrouped and now approached with renewed aggression. Their weapons fired in unison, a storm of destructive energy aimed at the human dreadnoughts. For a moment, the aliens held their breath, expecting disaster. Instead, the humans acted. Without hesitation, one of the dreadnoughts released a swarm of small, autonomous drones. They darted through space like swarms of metallic insects, moving faster than the eye could follow. Energy pulses flared as the drones intercepted the Marauder fleet. Explosions erupted silently in the void. Ships shredded into fragments before they could reach the humans or the Varelian Hope. "By the stars," whispered Trelna. "They are everywhere at once. How is that even possible?" Larek's voice was tight with wonder. "They are beyond anything we imagined. Not just fighters, strategists, thinkers." A single human ship detached from the formation. It glided directly toward the nearest Marauder craft, smaller than the dreadnoughts but far more lethal. From its hull, a boarding craft shot forth like a spear, striking the enemy vessel with precise accuracy. Within moments, the Marauder ship was under human control. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the human crew entered the vessel, neutralized threats and restored order with minimal destruction. It was not brute force alone that saved them. It was intelligence, improvisation, and perfect timing. One of the young alien crew members, a technician named Vera, whispered to Trelna, trembling with excitement. They don't just destroy. They understand. They adapt." Trelna nodded. "Yes, and they act. Quickly, decisively, flawlessly." Meanwhile, the remaining Marauder fleet began to retreat, confused by the efficiency of the humans. The dreadnoughts did not pursue immediately. Instead, they held formation, letting the enemies flee, observing, calculating. The aliens realized that the humans did not need to chase. They had already secured victory without unnecessary risk. Commander Larek felt a mix of relief and reverence. "We are witnesses to something extraordinary. Humans, they are not just survivors. They are legends made real." Suddenly, the human captain appeared on the Varelian Hope's comm display. His face was calm, eyes steady. "You are safe now," he said. "But this is only the beginning. You must learn quickly. Space is not forgiving and threats rarely give second chances." Larek bowed his head. We owe you our lives. All of us." The human captain's lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "You will survive if you observe, adapt, and act without hesitation. That is what humans do. That is what being a Deathworlder means." Vera's 3 eyes widened. "Deathworlder," she echoed softly. The term carried weight. Humans were not only survivors, they were embodiments of courage, ingenuity, and audacity. A new threat appeared. A single Marauder ship, smaller and faster than the rest, tried to sneak past the human perimeter to strike the colony ship. Instantly, a human drone intercepted it, disabling the craft with precise strikes. The alien crew gasped. "They are everywhere," Trelna whispered. "I cannot believe. Every action is perfect, yet unpredictable." The human captain's voice returned over the comms. "Predictable thinking will get you killed. Adaptation, speed, and intuition will keep you alive. You are witnessing why humans endure where others fail." For the first time in hours, the alien crew allowed themselves a moment of hope. The dreadnoughts were not just machines. They were extensions of human will, capable of reading the battlefield and responding with unmatched precision. Larek moved to the viewport, watching as the human boarding team completed their operation on the Marauder vessel. "They do not merely fight," he said. "They teach. They show us how to survive in ways we could never have imagined." The Marauders retreated fully into the darkness. One human dreadnought detached and approached the Varelian Hope. Docking procedures were initiated, and a small team of humans boarded the alien ship. Their presence was calm, controlled, and authoritative. They did not shout, They did not demand. They assessed, advised, and improved the ship's systems with surprising efficiency. Trelna followed them closely, absorbing every movement, every decision. They think faster than we can even comprehend. Every action has purpose, every decision flawless. The human captain, who had remained aboard the Dreadnought overseeing the operation, spoke again. We do not fight because we must. We fight because we choose to survive, and we survive because we adapt. That is the lesson you must learn. Larek nodded slowly, realizing the depth of what he was witnessing. Humans were not only warriors, they were teachers, guides, and masters of survival. Their methods were unconventional but effective beyond measure. One of the alien engineers asked hesitantly, How can a single species achieve this? How can humans survive where we fail? The human captain's gaze was steady. We do not rely on luck. We rely on creativity, courage, and experience. We prepare, we improvise, and we act decisively. That is why humans thrive on worlds that others consider deadly. That is why we answered your SOS. Because survival is not just about technology. It is about willpower. Vera, still wide-eyed, whispered, willpower and instinct. They do not wait. They see what must be done and do it immediately. As the Varelian Hope systems stabilized and the alien crew regained their composure, they began to see the humans not just as saviors but as a standard to aspire to. They were fast learners, but nothing could match the raw ingenuity and courage of a human. The human boarding team finished their work and prepared to return to the Dreadnought. One of them paused, turning to the alien crew. You will face more threats, he said. More challenges. Remember what you saw today. Learn. Adapt. Survive. That is what it means to endure the void. With that, the humans departed, leaving the aliens with a newfound respect and understanding. The Marauder threat had been neutralized, but more importantly, the aliens had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans were more than a species. They were a force of nature, capable of reshaping outcomes through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Commander Larek turned to his crew. We have seen what it means to survive in the harshest conditions. Humans. They are the standard now, and we must learn from them if we are to endure. Trelna smiled, her 3 eyes gleaming. I want to be like them. To think like them. To survive like them. Outside, the human dreadnoughts formed their protective perimeter once more. Calm, powerful, and unstoppable, they drifted silently in the void, a reminder of what it meant to be truly formidable. And in that moment, the aliens learned a second lesson. Survival was not just about defense or strength. It was about vision, adaptability, and the courage to act when others falter. The Varelian Hope sailed on under the silent watch of the Deathworlders, its crew forever changed by what they had witnessed. And somewhere beyond the stars, humans waited, ready for whatever challenge the universe would throw next, always prepared, always observing, always surviving. The Varelian Hope floated in the shadow of a shattered asteroid belt, its hull scarred from earlier attacks. The alien crew moved cautiously, still overwhelmed by the presence of the human dreadnoughts that hovered like silent guardians in the void. Commander Larek paced the bridge, claws tapping against the metal floor, as he watched the humans prepare for their next operation. A signal flickered across the ship. A small group of marauders, apparently escaping the previous battle, had captured one of the alien colony's children during the chaos. The child, a young, bright-eyed member of the crew, had been taken aboard a heavily armed raider craft. Panic rippled through the alien crew, and fear threatened to paralyze them. Larek's voice trembled slightly as he spoke into the comms. We cannot reach them. They are beyond our weapons range. The human captain's voice responded calmly, almost unnervingly so. We will retrieve the child. Prepare your ship for coordination, but do not intervene unless instructed. This operation requires precision and adaptability. The alien crew stared at each other in disbelief. Precision and Adaptability? Trelna whispered. They will rescue the child? Watch, Larek said, his claws tightening around the viewport railing. This is how humans operate. From the human dreadnoughts, a small, agile strike ship detached and shot forward toward the marauder vessel. The ship's hull gleamed with energy lines that shifted constantly, reflecting the operator's awareness of every angle, every possible threat. It moved like a predator, silent yet unstoppable. Inside the strike ship, a human captain and a small team prepared for boarding. Each member moved with confidence, each action deliberate. They did not rush. They did not hesitate. Every movement had purpose. On the bridge of the Varelian Hope, Trelna whispered, They are fearless. They are humans, Larek replied softly. Fearless is not the word. They are calculated. They see danger before it appears and act before it can touch them. The marauder vessel, sensing the human approach, attempted evasive maneuvers. Its engines flared and weapons targeted the incoming ship. But the human dreadnought strike team anticipated every movement. They used the enemy's momentum against them, flipping through space like dancers in a deadly ballet. The alien crew could only watch in awe as the humans reached the raider craft. Boarding hooks latched with flawless precision, and within moments the humans were inside. Seconds stretched like minutes as the team navigated the tight corridors of the enemy ship. Marauder guards were disoriented by the humans' speed and coordination. One by one they were subdued. None killed unnecessarily, all incapacitated with efficiency and precision. Finally, the humans found the child. The young alien's eyes widened with fear and wonder as the human captain approached, kneeling to make himself appear smaller and less intimidating. Are you all right? The captain asked softly. His voice was calm, confident yet gentle. The child nodded, too stunned to speak. The human reached out a hand, guiding the child to safety. Stay close to us, he said. We're taking you home. The return to the strike ship was as flawless as the boarding. The marauder ship attempted to fire, but the human team used the environment, the ship's energy fields, and their own calculated movements to evade every attack. Within moments, they were safely aboard the human dreadnought. From the bridge of the Varelian Hope, the aliens watched in silent awe. Larek's voice was quiet, filled with reverence. They do not fight recklessly. They calculate, improvise, and act decisively. And they do not leave anyone behind. Trelna's eyes were wide. I have never seen courage like this. It is not just bravery, it is intelligence, skill, and instinct all combined. The human captain's voice returned over the comms. Courage is useless without control. Fear is useful only if it guides decisions. Acting without understanding leads to failure. We survive because we combine instinct with thought, action with strategy. That is the difference between humans and others. Vera, the young technician, whispered, They are teaching us even now without saying it directly. Exactly, Trelna said. Every move they make is a lesson. As the marauders retreated into the void, the human dreadnoughts maintained their positions. They did not pursue aggressively, but they did not relax either. Every ship, every weapon system, and every crew member radiated readiness and calm authority. Larek realized something profound. Humans were not only warriors. They were masters of survival, teachers by example, and symbols of what was possible when fear was mastered and intellect guided action. The child, now safely returned to the Varelian Hope, clung to Commander Larek. Who are they? The child asked, eyes wide with awe. They are humans, Larek replied softly. Deathworlders, survivors, teachers, they are everything we aspire to be. Outside, the human dreadnoughts shimmered in the void, energy lines glowing softly as they hovered near the colony ship. Their presence was protective, commanding, and awe-inspiring. The aliens realized that humans did not merely fight to win. They acted to survive, to teach, and to inspire courage in others. Trelna turned to Larek. We must learn from them. If we are to survive in this sector, we must understand what they do and why. Larek nodded. Yes, and we must watch closely. Every decision they make is a lesson in survival, courage, and intelligence. The humans did not remain idle. They began coordinating with the Varelian Hope, teaching the crew how to optimize shield outputs, manage energy distribution, and anticipate threats in ways that the aliens had never considered. Every suggestion was practical, every instruction subtle yet transformative. Vera marveled as a human engineer adjusted the ship's systems. "It's not just knowledge," she whispered. "It's as instinct combined with understanding. They feel the ship, the threat, the environment, all at once." The young alien crew watched in awe as the humans demonstrated techniques for maneuvering through asteroid fields, evading energy storms, and maximizing the ship's defensive capabilities. Every lesson was immediate, applicable, and designed for survival. Finally, the human captain addressed the aliens directly. "You must remember this. Survival is not about reacting to threats. It is about anticipating them. It is about preparation, courage, and adaptation. Do not wait for danger to strike. Learn, understand, and act before it can touch you. That is what it means to endure." Larek felt a deep sense of respect. Humans were not only powerful, they were a philosophy, a standard by which all others might measure themselves. Their methods were precise, their courage unwavering, and their understanding of survival unparalleled. The alien crew, inspired and transformed by the humans' presence, began to see a future they had never imagined. They could survive. They could fight. They could endure, not because of luck, but because of knowledge, courage, and adaptability. As the human dreadnoughts prepared to return to patrol, Larek addressed his crew. "We have witnessed greatness today. Humans are more than a species, they are a standard. We must remember every lesson, every move, and every choice they make. If we are to survive, we must learn from them." The child, clutching Larek's claw, looked up. Will they help us again?" "They will," Larek said firmly. "Not because we can demand it, but because they choose to. And that choice teaches us as much as any lesson they give." From the void, the human fleet drifted silently, an unspoken promise of protection and mastery. The marauders had been defeated, the child rescued, and the alien crew's understanding of survival had been forever changed. In the darkness of space, under the watchful presence of the Deathworlders, the aliens learned a crucial truth. Courage alone was not enough. Intelligence alone was not enough. Survival required both, and humans embodied the combination in its purest form. The Varelian hope sailed onward, stronger, wiser, and more determined. And somewhere beyond the stars, humans continued their watch, ready for the next challenge, always prepared, always observing, and always surviving. The lesson of the humans was clear. In a universe full of danger, the difference between life and death was not luck. It was courage, ingenuity, and the will to act when it mattered most. And on that day, the aliens began to understand what it truly meant to follow the path of the Deathworlders. The asteroid field stretched endlessly around the Varelian Hope, jagged rocks spinning in slow, silent orbits. Even after the recent battles, Commander Larek could not shake the sense of awe and fear that lingered from the humans' actions. The aliens had witnessed courage, strategy, and adaptability beyond anything they had known. Now the humans were ready to teach them more, lessons in survival, not just in combat, but in living amidst the dangers of the universe itself. The human dreadnoughts moved smoothly around the colony ship, their hulks reflecting faint starlight as energy lines pulsed along their surfaces. Docking was not required. They hovered with control and precision, yet their presence radiated security. The human captain's voice came across the comms, calm and deliberate. "You have survived attacks that would have destroyed most fleets. That is commendable. But survival is not only about fighting. It is about preparation, adaptation, and observation. We will show you how." Larek stood at the viewport, claws gripping the railing. "Observation. They mean we must watch, learn, and understand. Not just copy them, but think as they think," Trelna nodded. "And act as they act. Instinct, intelligence, and courage together. That is what we must become." The first lesson began with the ship itself. Human engineers boarded the Varelian Hope, not to repair it, its systems were already functional, but to demonstrate optimization. They adjusted energy flows, shield frequencies, and engine outputs with subtle movements that spoke of instinctive understanding. The aliens could only watch in awe as systems previously thought at peak efficiency improved before their eyes. How can they know what needs to change before we do?" whispered Vera, still amazed. "They feel it," Trelna said softly. "Not literally, but they sense the ship as part of themselves. Every change is instinctive and intelligent at once." The humans then moved to more dangerous lessons. They guided the alien crew through the asteroid field, not as an instructor with rules but as partners in survival. Small drones and strike ships flew ahead, detecting shifts in the rock's paths. The aliens followed, mimicking the humans' movements. Learning to anticipate threats rather than simply react, Larek felt his pulse quicken as a massive asteroid suddenly shifted in orbit, threatening the Varelian Hope. Instinctively, he moved the ship, guided by the humans' instructions. The maneuver saved them from impact, and for the first time he felt a spark of confidence he had never known before. Survival is anticipation, one human engineer explained. You cannot wait for danger to strike. You must see it, feel it, and respond before it becomes fatal. Trelna repeated the words silently. Anticipate, respond, survive. The humans also demonstrated resilience in extreme environments. They deployed drones into regions of intense radiation, toxic gas clouds, and gravitational anomalies. The aliens watched as the drones adapted, shifting shields, adjusting energy output, and maneuvering through dangers that would have destroyed ordinary ships. They survive everywhere, Vera whispered. Everywhere that should kill them. Exactly, Larek said. That is why they are Deathworlders. They endure what others cannot, and now they are teaching us how. Next came lessons in improvisation. A small abandoned asteroid station was selected as a simulation site. The humans instructed the aliens to navigate through its corridors while managing unexpected hazards. Collapsing walls, energy leaks, and malfunctioning gravity fields. At first, the alien crew hesitated. Every instinct told them to follow procedures and maintain caution. But the humans encouraged initiative. One by one, the aliens began to think creatively, combining what they had learned from the humans with their own knowledge. They adjusted, adapted, and succeeded. Do not rely only on what you know, the human captain said. Use what you see, what you sense, and what you imagine. Survival depends on action guided by thought, not thought guided by fear. By the end of the simulation, the alien crew felt transformed. They had learned more in hours than they had in years of training. Systems were not only understood but mastered. Threats were no longer terrifying. They were challenges to anticipate and overcome. Even more important were the humans' philosophies. They taught not only how to survive but why survival mattered. They explained that fear could be a tool if used correctly, that courage was not the absence of fear, and that wisdom came from experience and observation. Trelna turned to Larek. We are not just learning techniques. We are learning a mindset, a way of thinking that makes us stronger, faster, smarter, and braver, Vera added, eyes shining. We will not panic. We will not hesitate. We will act. The humans then left the Varelian Hope, but not entirely. Small self-repairing drones were deployed to assist the aliens indefinitely. They repaired minor damages, monitored systems, and provided guidance. Their presence was subtle, almost invisible, but the message was clear. Humans trusted them to learn, to adapt, and to survive on their own. The alien crew felt a surge of gratitude and resolve. Commander Larek addressed them all. We have been given not only our lives but a chance to grow stronger. We have seen humans in action, and we have learned from them. Let us not waste this opportunity. The young alien technician Vera smiled. We will remember. Every lesson, every action, every choice. Beyond the asteroid field, the human dreadnoughts remained in silent orbit, watching, ready to intervene if necessary. But more importantly, they had demonstrated something else. Humans could empower others, even species far weaker than themselves, to survive. Larek reflected on the transformations he had seen. The aliens were no longer simply survivors. They were becoming something more. They were beginning to think like humans, to anticipate like humans, and to act decisively like humans. They were adopting the principles that had allowed a species to endure impossible worlds, hostile enemies, and lethal environments. Trelna approached the bridge, her eyes filled with determination. We are learning faster than we ever imagined. Humans have shown us that we are capable of more than we believed. And more than that, Larek said, we have seen what it means to endure, to survive, to thrive in conditions that would destroy any ordinary species. That is the gift they have given us. As the Varelian Hope prepared to continue its journey, the aliens carried more than technical knowledge. They carried inspiration, courage, and the beginnings of a mindset that would change them forever. Humans had not just saved them, they had elevated them. The lessons of survival were clear. Observe constantly, adapt quickly, anticipate threats, and act decisively. Combine courage with intelligence, and fear becomes a tool, not a hindrance. The universe was full of dangers, but humans had taught the aliens how to meet those dangers on equal footing, or even surpass them. For the first time in their lives, the alien crew felt truly capable of facing the void. They no longer felt helpless, no longer feared the unknown. With the humans' guidance, they had begun to understand what it meant to endure, to survive, and to thrive in the most hostile environments imaginable. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the stars, the humans continued their watch. Silent, powerful, and vigilant, they waited for the next challenge the universe would throw their way. Their presence was not only a shield but a lesson. Adaptability, courage, and intelligence were the greatest weapons of all. Larek gazed out at the stars, feeling the weight of new responsibility. "We have been shown the way," he said softly. "Now it is up to us to follow it, and to remember every lesson the humans have taught." Trelna placed a hand on his claw. "We must. The universe will test us again. And next time we will not only survive, we will endure. As humans endure." As the human dreadnoughts departed, drifting back into the void from which they had emerged, the alien crew realized the truth of what they had witnessed. Survival was more than skill, more than technology. It was mindset, courage, adaptability, and the will to act decisively when the moment demanded. The Varelian hope sailed on, stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever before. They carried with them the lessons of the humans, the Deathworlders, forever imprinted on their minds, shaping their actions and decisions for the battles yet to come. And in the vast silence of space, humans watched, ready, capable, and always prepared to remind the universe what it meant to endure, survive, and thrive. The void beyond the asteroid belt shimmered with faint starlight, but the Varelian hope glowed brighter, filled with newfound confidence. The alien crew moved with purpose, their eyes reflecting the lessons they had absorbed from the humans. The dreadnoughts remained nearby, silent guardians that radiated strength and assurance. Commander Larek stood at the bridge viewport, claws resting lightly on the rail. He felt a weight of responsibility he had never known before. The humans had not only saved their lives, they had reshaped their understanding of survival, courage, and strategy. The human captain's voice broke the quiet, calm yet commanding. "You have learned well. You have faced threats and adapted. You are ready to continue your journey. But remember this, the universe is vast and unforgiving. Trust in what you have learned, and do not hesitate when action is required." Larek nodded. "We understand. We will remember every lesson, every choice, and every action you have shown us." A small group of humans approached in a transport vessel. They did not board the Varelian Hope, there was no need. Instead, they deployed small autonomous drones designed to assist the aliens. The drones moved silently, repairing minor damage, optimizing energy flow, and monitoring systems. Their presence was subtle but powerful, a constant reminder of the humans' teachings. Trelna watched the drones in awe. "Even when they are gone, they leave guidance. They empower us to survive on our own." "Yes," Larek replied. "They trust us to carry what we have learned. That is the greatest lesson of all." The aliens had already begun to apply the humans' teachings. Shields were optimized, energy distribution balanced, and defensive systems fine-tuned. The crew moved with coordination and confidence that had been impossible just days before. They had become faster, smarter, and more decisive. Suddenly, sensors picked up another signal, a small fleet of marauder ships attempting a surprise attack. The alien crew froze for a moment, instinct telling them to panic. But then Larek remembered the humans' words: anticipate, adapt, and act decisively. "Ready the defenses," he ordered calmly. "We know what to do. We have learned." The alien crew moved with precision, activating shields, diverting power, and preparing weapons. They anticipated the attack rather than reacting blindly. When the marauders arrived, the Varelian Hope met them with controlled, effective force. Lasers and energy pulses found their marks, drones intercepted the smallest vessels, and the aliens executed maneuvers with skill inspired by the humans. The marauders were defeated quickly, fleeing into the void. For the first time, the aliens realized that survival was not about strength alone. It was about knowledge, courage, and adaptability. Humans had taught them that, and now they had proven it themselves. The human captain's voice returned over the comms. Well done. You have taken the lessons and applied them. That is what it means to endure. Remember this day and remember the principles that have guided your actions. Observation, adaptation, and decisive action. You are now capable of surviving where others would fail. Vera turned to Trelna, eyes shining with pride. We did it. We actually did it. We faced them and survived. Because of what the humans taught us. Yes, Trelna said, a smile spreading across her face. And we will continue to survive. We will continue to learn. The human dreadnoughts began to depart, moving gracefully into the void. Their immense hulls reflected the distant starlight, and their energy lines pulsed rhythmically as if the ships themselves breathed with life. The aliens watched, awed and inspired. Before leaving entirely, the humans sent one final message. We go, but we remain with you in principle. Trust your knowledge, trust your courage, trust each other, and remember, the universe tests all, but those who adapt endure. We are leaving you with guidance, not control. Survive, thrive, and grow stronger. That is the choice, and it is yours. Commander Larek bowed slightly, claws clasped together. We will honor this gift. We will survive and we will thrive. And we will never forget what we have learned from humans, the Deathworlders. The alien crew began preparing for the next leg of their journey. They had already started incorporating the humans' methods into their daily routines, optimizing every system, analyzing every strategy, and strengthening their own instincts. They felt capable of facing any threat, no longer paralyzed by fear or uncertainty. Vera adjusted her instruments with newfound confidence. I feel empowered, like I can handle anything now. That is exactly the effect they have, Trelna said. They do not just fight for you, they teach you to fight for yourself. They show you what it means to endure. Larek surveyed the bridge, the alien crew working smoothly together for the first time. We have learned more than tactics or strategies. We have learned a philosophy of survival. Humans are not just warriors. They are teachers, guides, and standard-bearers for what it means to endure in this universe. Even as the humans faded into the distant stars, their presence lingered. The small drones continued their silent work. The lessons lived on in every crew member's mind, and the sense of confidence was unmistakable. The Varelian Hope was no longer a frightened, cornered vessel. It was a capable, adaptable, and resilient ship, ready to face the challenges of the unknown. The aliens were now part of a larger story, one in which humans set the standard for endurance, courage, and ingenuity. Their myths and legends about the Deathworlders had become reality, and now the aliens carried that reality forward in their own actions. As they left the asteroid belt behind, Larek spoke to his crew, voice firm and full of purpose. We have seen what it means to endure. We have learned from the best. From this moment on, we are not merely survivors. We are capable, adaptable, and brave, and we will honor the human's gift by living up to what we have learned. Vera looked out at the stars, eyes filled with determination. We will be ready for whatever comes next. Nothing will surprise us as it did before, Trelna added. And when the next threat arrives, we will face it not with fear but with skill, courage, and intelligence. We will endure. The Varelian Hope sailed on, stronger and wiser than ever, its crew forever changed by the humans' intervention, and somewhere in the depths of space the Deathworlders watched and waited, ready for the next challenge, silently inspiring those who survived in their wake. The legacy of the humans had been established. It was more than a rescue, it was a transformation. The aliens now understood that the universe could be survived, mastered, and even conquered not by power alone, but by courage, intelligence, and adaptability. And as the void stretched infinitely before them, Larek whispered to himself, humans, they are not just a species, they are a philosophy, and now we carry it forward. With that, the Varelian Hope accelerated into the stars, fully equipped for the dangers ahead, carrying the lessons, courage, and inspiration of the Deathworlders. The universe was vast and full of peril, but for the first time the aliens felt ready. They would endure, they would survive, and they would thrive, just as humans had shown them. And somewhere beyond the veil of space, the human dreadnoughts glided silently, guardians, teachers, and exemplars of the ultimate truth. In a universe filled with dangers and uncertainties, Humanity endures where others falter. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and for the Varelian hope, the future was no longer something to fear. It was something to conquer, guided by the principles of courage, adaptability, and willpower, the legacy of the Deathworlders.